Hi, it's Steve Dragon, your personal wellness consultant. I wish I were dead. Have you ever felt that way? I've felt that way a couple of times in my life. I want to tell you about one of them. I want you to listen closely to the story because it's emotional for me already. Back in 1986, I became separated from my first wife. She kicked me out of the house. It was not a happy time. We had had 5 kids. Our third one died when he was just 4 days old, so we had 4 living at the time. The youngest, Raylene, was at that time about 8 months old, 8 or 9 months old. And there were a lot of circumstances I didn't know anything about, but I got kicked out of the house. Very, very depressing time for me. Very difficult time in my life, because all I could think about is how I would not be able to have the influence I really wanted to have on those kids. I was understandably concerned about it. Any of you that have ever experienced something like that know what I'm talking about. But it was sad, and I was very prone to depression then. I was depressed a lot. I was grateful at the time for a lot of overtime. It kept me busy. But still, I didn't work Sundays. I didn't work most of Saturdays. It was just a really hard time. One day on a Sunday, and this is like maybe 4 or 6 weeks after I had left. This was in the fall, probably September, maybe October, I don't remember for sure. But I had moved in with a friend of mine, Dean, into his house for a while. Before that, I'd been with my parents for a few weeks and tried to have as much contact with those kids as I could. But I got really depressed one day, and this thought came to me that I should go visit my brother who lives in California, my brother John. I call him Jack now. And so that morning, rather than going to church, I got up and just left. It was like 9 o'clock in the morning before I even left, going to LA. Good 12, 13-hour drive. I didn't get there until like 11 o'clock. But we visited for a while. He was obviously surprised I didn't call him and warn him. Surprised I was there. We talked for a while. I stayed for a little while next day and came back home. Actually stopped in St. George, Utah on the way back and spent the night there. Somewhere around Mesquite, I think, or just before that, it was in the middle of the desert, but I remember very, very strongly, of course I was depressed again, but I remember having this feeling that I wanted to kill myself. And it was just a fleeting thing. It only lasted for maybe a couple of seconds, but it was very strong. It scared me to death. It was very, very scary. I spent the night in St. George, came home the next day. Sometime in the next couple of weeks, I believe, I went to City Creek Canyon. This is just a canyon north of the Capitol building in Salt Lake. Just thinking, depressed, wishing that something else could happen, wondering what I was going to be able to do. I went up there. There's a creek in there, and I found a little campsite and sat on a big rock and just thought for a little while. Thought about life insurance, accident insurance, where I'm going with this. The thought occurred to me, this thought of suicide. I knew that wasn't right, and it scared me so bad I didn't want to try that. But the thought occurred to me there that maybe if somebody just came and killed me, if while I'm sitting on this rock, somebody came up behind me with an axe. Seriously, this was my thought. And just started hitting me with it. I had, at that time, this is something I want to share with you, something that happened to me that was one of the most powerful spiritual experiences I've ever had in my life. The closest thing to a vision I think I've ever had, because that's how powerful it was. This thought occurred to me that if somebody would come up behind me with an axe and just start hacking away, I would die. My family would get the life insurance. I wouldn't have to worry about the problems I was then having, I didn't think. And somehow I thought that would be an answer. That would be a solution to that problem. And looking back on it now, I realize, well, no, that's really dumb. But let me finish the story. At that instant, when that thought occurred to me, it was like it really happened. I felt no pain because, you know, if somebody come up behind you with an axe, very quietly, try to imagine this, and they lift this axe like this, and whack! 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 How much pain would you feel? It'd be that fast, probably. I felt no pain, but that fast, I could feel like my spirit left my body and it was standing like right over there. And I could see myself looking at me. My body there on the ground, a bloody mess. And I was standing there in my spirit. And all I could say was, "No! No, I'm not ready!" And I was helpless. It was over. It was too late. And then it was over. The vision, the feeling was over. But I'll tell you what, not once since that moment have I wished that my life was over. Because I know, as sure as I am standing here now, and I'm telling you this, chances are none of you are ready for that moment. And I promise you that as soon as that moment comes, you're going to say, "No, no, wait, I'm not ready. That wasn't supposed to happen yet." Now for the rest of the story, it took a while, a few months, for the divorce to be final. We did get divorced. That was in April. Divorce was final April 9th. April 19th, I met my present wife. May 19th, we were engaged. August 7th, we were married. That was less than a year after this experience I just told you about. I'd like you to meet some of them. These are old pictures. Okay, there's me and my wife. That is an old picture. But that's okay. This is Adam from many years ago. He is now 22. He was the first with my second wife. If that had happened, I would not be here to tell you about him, and he wouldn't be here. This is Shaylee, the next one. She wouldn't be here. This is Tyler, the next one. He wouldn't be here. This is Dallin. Great picture, hey? He would not be here. This is our wedding picture, August 7th, 1987. This is Bryce and Sage. They are my oldest daughters, children, my first two grandkids. Well, he was my first one, but... Well, maybe he wasn't the first one, but he was on there. This is, from the left, this is Blake and Ethan and Matthew, and then the small one down there is Caitlin, she's a year old. And this is Carson. He was born November 2nd, just last year. None of them would be here. You see, all of those people would not be here if that had happened to me. That's what I wanted to share with you. I have one more thing. In 1999, there was a talk given in the LDS Church General Conference by Jeffrey R. Holland. He said, this is one of the most powerful talks I've ever heard. He said, don't give up. Don't you quit. You keep trying. There is help and happiness ahead. A lot of it. You keep your chin up. It will be all right in the end. Trust God and believe in good things to come. That is true. I know it by personal experience. This is Steve Dragon, your personal wellness consultant. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.